Ready?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, Stories of Success Through Setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. And today, we have Mikki to share her story with us, and I'm so excited to dive in. Can you just tell us a little bit about your story briefly before?
Sure. I grew up moving from country to country and place to place. And when I had kids, they grew up moving from country to country and place to place. So we're all third culture kids. Um, they were both born in Canada, and they left when they were 1 and 3 years old. And they spent a big chunk of their lives going to different countries, which means different school systems, different languages, different cultural norms. And every time we moved, we had to get into this new place and figure out, okay, what do they do here? What does that look like? And what on earth is going on at that school? So,
That's,
so it was a lot.
that's fascinating. How many countries have they been and you been then overall, would you
We
say?
all have a different number,
Okay.
because of different events. Like I've lived in 8 countries now. No, actually, my eldest I think has also lived in 8, and the youngest probably 9, because both of them now are grown and they've both gone and taught in other countries. So they kind of added that to their repertoire, and they're both because they grew up traveling. Both kids are now, or both young men are now able to just pack a backpack, hop on a plane, and go someplace, and not stress over it, which I love. I'm so pleased that they can do that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh, I love to hear that. I love traveling. I haven't done it since I've had kids, so we're working on planning our first trip and it's exciting. What would you
That's
say
an
to,
adventure.
yeah, it is. It is an adventure just to plan it alone. But what would you say the biggest adversity in all of that with that you've answered, and how did you answer that adversity?
Okay, but picking out the biggest one, I'm just going to go with the first thing that comes to mind, which I would say is not having a community every time you move. You don't know anybody there. So you have to build one, try and find one. And when you've got kids, sort of an age appropriate community, and particularly when they're not in school yet. When we moved to Belgium from Canada, and the kids were 1 and 3. Um, so that was an adventure in and of itself, because the society there is very different, and their expectations of how kids behave is different, and what you do with little kids. And I didn't have anything set up, so there's no daycare. I don't have relatives. There was really not a lot. So it was sort of hit the ground running and try and figure everything out as fast as you can.
What did you end up finding to do to find that community in such a different cultural element?
Mm. My saving grace was Montessori school, because they had quite a few Montessoris in Belgium, which is great.
Yeah.
And they'll take kids as young as 18 months old, even if it's for a few hours in a day. And I preferred that to the daycare options they had, which didn't look particularly good to me. And so while I was in Belgium, I trained in Montessori so that I knew what my kids were doing. So I worked in Montessori while they were going to school in Montessori. Um, so it was very cool in that way. But that's another thing I do, is when we move, I figure out, okay, what do I need to do here? And my profession kind of shifts depending on where I am, or at least it did as the kids were growing up. So I have a carousel career behind me.
That's fascinating though. And I think that's really important because I worked in daycares when my son was born. I was a single mom to start out. So I worked in daycares so he could go with me or I could see which ones I liked the
Right.
best. So that's fascinating. I love that aspect. Do you think then having that kind of mentality helped you as you moved to different countries when you started out and saying, "Oh, okay, this worked well. So when we move again, I'm going to use that when I go to a new place."
It really helped to build a repertoire as I went. And I think that the single best feature to develop, where if you're going to go for a nomadic lifestyle, which mine's definitely been my entire life, then the single thing you have to really, really develop is flexibility. Like you just have to be able to land on the ground and roll and get up and say, okay, where am I now? What am I doing? And literally just look around you and find a place to begin and then start there. So, for example, the more I traveled, the more I moved, the more I got used to first port of call is actually food markets, not supermarkets, but, you know, the open markets where they sell the vegetables and the fresh fish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would go to those places and just first of all observe, you know, who's buying what kind of things is are really popular here, and how do people sort of eat. And then I'd find likely looking people and go pick up something strange and say, hey, what's this? What do I do with it? You know, and eventually somebody'd speak English, and they'd sort of, okay, who is this crazy person? Yeah, and they'd sort of help me out with telling me what it was and what to do with it. And so I'd try new stuff, and that way I would meet local people as well.
Yeah.
And they know where everything is. They know what works, what doesn't. And so that's sort of my entree into a new society, if you will, is through the food markets.
That's really
It
clever.
worked.
Yeah. No, that's really clever. I love that. And then you get to see what you get kind of behind the scenes of what people like, what they don't like, where you should avoid, where you can go. That's so clever. I love that. Do you think that that mentality helped to learn the cultures then as well? Because if you're very observant, you're going to see a lot of that and kind of absorb it as opposed to just diving in and making
Yeah.
all those mistakes.
Yeah. A huge part of, well, who I am really is an observer of people. I'm actually a board certified behavior analyst now because people's behaviors and what makes them tick has always been interesting to me. But if I'm going to a new country, I don't want to see what the other expats are doing. I kind of have an idea of what they're going to be doing. You know, that's okay. But what are we in? What's here? Because the people who live there, they know what works, what doesn't, and you know, you can learn things really quickly that you miss if you don't dive into the local culture. And the best time to do that is hot off the airplane. Like, I'm off the airplane and, you know, here, I'm pulling my bags behind me. Let's go and have a look at something. And that's, people appreciate that. They're like, wow, you literally just got here, you know, okay. Where have you been so far? Nowhere. I'm just here. You know, and somebody will often take you under their wing, or, you know, direct you in a place that will help you to land on your feet. So yeah, I've been very lucky that way, but I'm really open to what could happen, who could be there, what that could look like. I find that's like really the only way to go.
That's beautiful. I think that really segues well into entrepreneurship, really. I mean, because you're just landing wherever you land and you have to be open to what's happening and really take in all of that and observe and see what's going right, what's going wrong. What do you think it is about entrepreneurs then that makes them continue on through those kind of challenges without giving up when it gets hard, or when you know, land and it's not the best situation and you're like, what am I going to do now? What is
Right.
it about entrepreneurs that makes them continue on and not give up and keep going?
So my take on that is entrepreneurs don't tend to look at a situation and say, oh no, what am I going to do now? But they'll look at it and say, huh, what am I going to do now? You know, and it's same question, but very different perspective. And, you know, I think entrepreneurs understand that basically life is, you know, it's a path, and the smooth parts are just a break. They just give you some chill time. You know, it doesn't really mean anything other than take a breather. You've got a few minutes. And then the next time you hit a rough patch, okay, this is where the growth is. This is where something new's coming up. What do I do? Where, you know, not from a panic sense, but from a curiosity of, okay, that didn't work. Right. Why not? What do I do with that now? And you rebuild, you shift, and you keep going. And that's where the growth is. That's where the real fun is in overcoming those challenges. If it was just smooth, you'd be bored out of your tree. It's no, ho hum, another day. And people cause chaos when they're bored. So, entrepreneurs don't tend to cause chaos, I think, because they're not usually bored. There's a lot of variables being thrown at you, and how are you going to alter your attitude to accommodate for that? How are you going to alter, if you work with people like I do, then okay, what aspects of working with people can be sticky? For example, if they turn up 20 minutes late for an appointment, I'm not okay with that. So I arrange things so that they know I give 10 minutes grace. And if I haven't heard from you, I'm gone. And that session's gone, and that's just a parameter I lay out in the beginning. And so that, I learned that the hard way. I learned that by having people, blow me off or not turn up. So, okay, what do I do with that? Right, this is how it's going to work. And you modify all the time. And I think entrepreneurs are able to modify.
How do you think? So I agree 100%. I definitely think it's the modification, being able to shift, know that it's not going to be the same all the time, or knowing that when you have a calm moment, it's just that breather. How do you think they stay? Because oftentimes, at least with the entrepreneurs that I've had the pleasure of meeting and chatting with, they have such a cool, calm, collected exterior, but really it's all this bubbling underneath. Like we keep there's always something happening, but you keep it together. How do you think that we kind of manage that? Because I've been told the same thing. How are you still smiling through this? You just seem so unbothered. And I'm like, oh no, I'm bothered, but we roll with it. How do you explain that?
Well, I think it's probably anyway, I can only go for myself really, but it's a question of perspective and what you make it mean. So does a glitch in the process mean that you've messed up and that you can't do this and that this is awful and that it means all these things? Or is it just, that was interesting, that didn't go well. Okay, there's going to be a little crazy for a few days while I figure it out, but you don't doubt that you're going to figure it out. That's the thing, is you have to be the mindset. It's more than the mindset though. It's you. It's everything about you has to be really sure that you're going to come out of it. You're going to figure it out. It's just a mess right now. And it becomes, it's a fact, it's a mess, but it's not a crisis. It's just a mess. There's a big difference. I see people getting into drama about things, and whoa, this happened and that happened and and I'm just kind of looking at them like, whoa, really, it wasn't that big. Just compartmentalize a little bit and put that over there and fix this and you're good. But meanwhile, they're wasting all their energy, like flying off on like a Catherine wheel. And entrepreneurs don't do that. If you do, you're not an entrepreneur for very long.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. It's really funny. Working with moms, I say the same thing kind of about our houses, right? There's a difference between filth and a mess. A mess is going to get cleaned up. It's fine. It's not filthy. It's not disgusting. It's just a mess because you have kids there, right? So it's gonna be picked up eventually. So that's funny. That's kind of that's my association with what you just said anyhow.
Right. And I think too, when it comes to mom, houses, moms and standards and what have you, who are you keeping it tidy for? Is a big question.
Yes.
Because your spouse or your partner or whoever's there, they live there too, so they kind of know what's going on. The kids, they really don't care from tidy, right? It doesn't matter. They're just going to mess it up again. So who are you doing that for? And in most cases, it's a case of conditioning where you've come in, you've been taught that things have to look a certain way. Well, as soon as you can throw that out the window, that's a chunk of stress gone. And your kids will be able to relax more and enjoy where they live. Those spotlessly clean houses that are also really, really tidy make me nervous.
Yeah. What's going
you
on?
don't want to sit down in one of those,
Yeah.
Like I'm going to dent your sofa. Is that okay? It's not natural to be like that. So a mess, cool. Nice if it's not filthy. That would be good.
Yeah.
But, even then you can adapt somewhat. I mean, we have 10 animals right now. There are 5 dogs and 5 cats. And, the dogs don't have a shedding season. Life is a shedding season.
Yep.
So when I vacuum clean, it's yeah, everything changes color. Like, it's this big deal. So a certain measure of dog fur becomes, yeah, you came
It's
into the house,
normal.
dog fur. We have 5 of them and they're all big. The biggest one's 153 pounds. He's got fur.
Oh gosh.
So, you
They
your
shake and you
standards,
see it. Yeah.
you really need to shift your standards to reflect the life you've got. If you have 10 kids, your house is going to look one way.
Yeah.
If you have a toy poodle and no animals, no kids, it's going to look differently. So,
I love
just
that.
chill.
Just chill. So what do you think? Do you think that's one of your biggest takeaways then? What is the biggest takeaway or lesson that you would want other mompreneurs to be able to use from your experience specifically?
The subject of time management has come up a lot lately, and I have a very different approach to that, to the usual, hey, do time blocking, do this, do that. Yeah, lovely. But that's also can be a source of stress. What I would look at is your to-do list. How many things can you take off it? Do they really need to be done? Do you have to be the one that does them? So the first things to go off the list are the things that really, who cares? The second thing is, could somebody else do it? Great, get them to do it. And then the third that you have left, now you can time block. And the first thing you time block in is self-care. Time block in your exercise or your walk, your food, your rest, your manicure, or whatever you want to have, but put that in first and then figure the rest out. And at the end of the day, it's not what you got done, it's what did you aim to achieve. Have something that you want to have accomplished by the end of the day. And just one thing. Priority actually means top thing. It doesn't mean top 5 things. One. Yeah. So just if you achieve one thing every day, how cool is that?
That's beautiful. Oh, I love that perspective. That's very similar to how I operate my time management, because when you work with coaches, a lot of times they don't have families and they tell you to time block. And that just never worked for me. I was like, everything changes day to day. So I do a to-do list, but I do my wants versus my needs. This is what I need to get done today. This is what I'd like to get done today. It helps me build in my flexibility and stuff. But I love the priority means top 1, not 5, not 6.
We misuse it. We've like taken priority and made it mean a bunch of things, and you can't do that. Then you're spreading yourself too thinly, and it gets stressful. Now, a to-do list, the reason we all love them is because every time you tick something off, you get that little dopamine hit that says, yay, I did it. And, and you get the happy thing. Yeah. So find yourself another way, another bunch of boxes to tick off that your brain's going to give you the happy hit. But the thing with time blocking is it can be really stressful. If Junior comes running in and needs attention, or the dog throws up, or whatever happens, and it throws your time off by 10-15 minutes, you're done. And now you've got the opposite of dopamine. You've got that stress going on, really, because you didn't reach an artificial deadline. Like, is it worth the risk? To me, I don't time block particularly. I just look at, what do I need to have done by the end of today? I'll do that. And it'll figure in, and stuff happens. You can't tell what that's going to be. So,
and there's always something unexpected.
My husband and I, between us, have 5 kids. We have 5 dogs and we have 5 cats. We got a lot of something going on. So, there's always events, and he's an author, and, and I'm doing my coaching. So the two of us are very movable.
Yeah.
This just, who knows what today's going to look like? I don't know, but it'll be good.
I love that. That's wonderful. So what is the best way for others to find you then, if they would like to work with you or learn more about you? I will have all of the links in the description as well, but.
Cool. Well, I'm really easy to find on Facebook. If you just look up Mikki Gaffen Stone, there I am. I'm the only one, Mikki, Gaffen, Gaffen, Stone, like a rock. And there I am. It's public profile, really open. And what you see is what you get. And then my website is my virtual happy space. And that is www.gaffenstone.com. I love my website. I'm so happy with it. So if you get there, have a look around, play with it. There are free things there. There's stories, there's blogs, there's I do human design, so you can do your human design chart for free. And then there's hyperlinks when you download it, so you can get information for free. There's lots. I had a friend check it out, and she intended to look at it for 5 minutes and spent an hour and a half in there. So yeah, give yourself a few minutes to look.
That's a good thing though, right? When they don't mean to spend that long, that's a good
Right?
thing.
No, it was so cool. She just really enjoyed looking around. And like I said, I put a lot of work into that website with an amazing tech-minded woman who built it for me. And it's so much better than the one I had before, which was built kind of thinking, what do people want to see? And it didn't look like me. It was very beige, and I'm not. And then and this one has color. So,
Like the rug
and that's
behind you. I assume that's a rug. Is that a rug or is
yes,
it a
yeah.
blanket? Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's a rug. It's a
Oh,
woven
good.
rug from it's local because I lived in New Mexico, so
Okay.
it's a local product. Yeah.
Beautiful, but very colorful. So I like it.
Yeah. Well, check out the website. You'll see the colors exploding everywhere.
I will, absolutely. I'm excited. Also, I love human design. I think it's so interesting. I also like to know how people tick and what makes them work. So I find human design so fascinating. So I will 100% dive in.
Well, let me let you know that I have a group starting this Friday. It's a beta group, and it's for people who want to explore their human design in a small group format. The first session is free. That's this Friday at 8:30 Mountain Time. And then, because I have people internationally coming, so it kind of works for them. And then there's 12 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we're going to meet at the same time. And I'll do a presentation, and then people will ask questions, and we'll go through human design that way. And it's because it's beta, it's going to be very affordable. And I think it'll be a really cool way of getting more people to explore their design and what it means for them. So that starts this Friday. Hit me up on Facebook, and if I have enough people, I'll make 2 groups. It's cool, but still keep it small.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a delight. Your story is very inspirational. I really liked hearing it and diving into it a little bit more. I love anybody who has traveled so much and has just so much knowledge from other perspectives. I think that's great. And your willingness to be open about it is very much appreciated and needed in this space.
Oh, thank you for asking. And if you look at my story on the website, that gives you more of the, which countries I went to and what I did, that kind of thing.
Yay. Oh, good. I am definitely going to look into that. I just find it so interesting to go see different. I've been to England, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland, and I found each of them so interesting and just, gosh, I love meeting other people from different cultures and getting the different mindset and the different just how they operate is so fascinating to me. And I imagine it probably helps in your human design work to have a lot
Oh,
of that.
one of my clients is ethnically Russian, but she is born and raised in Asia. And so she looks one way, but she's actually Chinese underneath. So, and I can totally work with her because I've lived there. I know what she's like. I know what it's like, like I can put all the pieces together. It's not a problem. Whereas other people keep asking her, yeah, but that's not right for you. They're trying to box her over here, but she doesn't fit in that box.
Yeah.
And so, we can skip all of that nonsense and just get straight to the point, because I don't need that explaining. And I love that about my work. And bringing that into human design is just so much fun.
That's beautiful. That's so cool. I love your story. Well, for those of you out there who are facing your own adversity, know that you are not alone either. When you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society. You can find more about that on my site as well. You'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. And until next time, guys, keep shooting for the stars.